I am Anna Seewald, and this is Authentic Parenting, a podcast about growing ourselves while raising our children. I'm a psychologist, educator, and parent coach. And on this podcast, I explore how you can connect to your authentic self, practice radical self-care, and raise emotionally healthy children. Let's break the generational cycle of trauma for a more peaceful, kind, and compassionate world. Today, how to turn self-care into a way of life. I have a fantastic episode for you with a 5 times returning guest. Can you guess who it might be? I wish I could hear your answer. As a regular listener, you may recognize her name. In fact, this is her 2nd appearance on the show this year. Okay, it's Dr. Judith Rabinor. I love her and admire her tremendously. And in doing this episode with her, I discovered that we are very similar. Dr. Judith Rabinor is a clinician, author, writing coach, speaker, and workshop leader. In addition to her New York City private psychotherapy practice, she offers remote consultations for families, therapists, and writers. In fact, I have taken a writing class with Judy, and I really enjoyed it. Judy has published dozens of articles for both the public and professionals, and has authored several books. A Starving Madness, Tales of Hunger, Hope, and Healing, Befriending Your Ex After Divorce, Making Life Better for You, Your Ex, and Yes, Your Ex, and her beautiful memoir, The Girl in the Red Boots, Making Peace with My Mother. She's a sought-after speaker, workshop leader, and she often speaks at national and international mental health conferences. In today's conversation, we talked about our own self-care practices, what we do on a regular basis, and what we do on a daily basis, as well as what we learned from our mothers. How did they practice self-care? It's a great conversation, and I can't wait to hear how it resonates with you. And I also hope to change how you think about self-care. Please enjoy. I'm so excited that you're excited about this topic. Self-care, what practices we personally have. I wrote down some notes, things that I do daily and things that I do regularly, and how we can look back and what we learned from our own mothers. How did they practice self-care? I really love that lens. Do you want to start?
So recently I joined an aging group, like women. So do you know that I'm now 81?
No,
I'm 81.
Wow. God bless you.
I'm
Yeah.
lucky. I know I'm lucky. I have all my marbles and I'm still running around doing a lot of things. But it's scary getting older because the bad news pours in. And life is not forever, and you know that. And taking good care of myself matters. And if you run yourself ragged, you're going to pay a price. You pay a price in your relationship. You pay a price in your health. Anyway, and so I'm in this aging group with these women, and I thought, this is boring. I don't want to keep talking about aging. And then I'm working on a play that I'm writing. Just submitted it to a 10-minute play festival, and it's from my book. I took a scene from my book that I think is like the most dramatic scene, and I made a 10-minute play out of it. And I said, I want to read you guys my play, talking about sickness and all this vitamins and everything. It's boring. So I got them. So that's what we did. This is all on Zoom. They're reading. I sent it to them. I said, I don't want to be in an aging group. I want to be in a creativity group. And they loved it. And so the first thing on my list of self-care is creativity. And this is a lifetime practice. I get up in the morning and my husband can't believe it. I don't have to brush my teeth. I have to go to the bathroom. That's it. But I don't have to brush my teeth. I have made a practice out of knowing that I'm most creative in the morning. And I have to sit down before the busyness of the day drags me down. By the time you're up for an hour, you have all your old chores and now 10 new ones, right? And I have to give myself as long as I can, like an hour and a half. And I can't do it every day, but it's a practice and it's a priority. And I make it a priority. And I think of it as self-care because it just makes me sing. And I think it's so easy to get bogged down in life and chores and to do. Call this one, call that one. Where's your password? Oh, now they're going to send a code to your other device. Oh, where is your other device?
So true. Are you a robot? That's the best question. Can you identify those little pictures?
And then when you don't, like they say, you look at them and you think, what? How many trees are in this stupid thing?
And you think to yourself, maybe I'm a robot? Honey, am I a robot?
Then you think, maybe I'm losing it because I failed it. How can you fail these stupid little tests? But every once in a while you do, right?
Yes, yes, I fail always. I love that creativity as your self-care because it connects you to that vital energy, that source energy, life, vitality, and it keeps you alive.
And I think the thing about self-care is it's so individualized because I'm a right brain person. Some people tell me I have to like tackle my to-do list the minute I get up. That's what makes them know they're alive. That's what makes me know I'm dead. Return this to UPS, return this to Amazon, food shopping lists, gift list. Oh my God, it's just terrible. That's what makes me know I'm alive. But I recommended writing to somebody and they said, I hate writing. I feel like I'm in school. So that's not for everybody.
Yeah, that's so true. And it all comes down to know yourself, know yourself, know yourself. Good self-care begins with knowing yourself. If you don't know the self that you inhabit, how are you going to care for it? Right?
Exactly. And it takes time to get to know yourself.
Yeah.
And we're always changing. Like, honestly, I couldn't do this when I was at your stage of life. I had to get up and get breakfast on the table, right, and get my kids out the door.
Yes, true. Yeah, of course. And I was thinking about this question, like for the first time in my life, at this stage in my life, I can confidently say that I do have self-care in place. I am confident about it. I don't have guilt about it. I know what I need when I need. I honor and give it to myself. I'm in a really good place in my life now, in this stage of my life with all these experiences and knowledge, in the stage of parenting, because it allows me time, right? The demands are low. But this is the first time that I am not putting other people's needs above mine. I'm not self-neglecting that I used to do in the past. I'm not feeling guilty for resting. I know when I'm tired and I need to rest physically. I know when there is too much going on and I need to unplug and cognitively diminish my tasks. I know what my body needs. I know when I'm sitting too much in front of the Zoom and doing work, I need to move. I know that balance. What's the right balance? I know my capacity, how much I can handle per day, how many clients, how much work. I know when to say no, when I want to say no, as opposed to when I was younger, I would say yes when I really wanted to say no. I do take care of myself. And this is all self-care for me.
And I think I love what you said, and I wrote down the word unplug. We have to really get to that one in a couple of minutes. That wasn't on my list like 25 years ago. We weren't living this life of getting everything plugged in the minute you get up in the morning so you can be multitasking all day long, watching your phone while you're also on a Zoom, as long as you're not seeing a patient. But, if you're listening to something, of course you can do 2-3 things at once. Maybe fold the laundry while you're waiting for a call, while you're watching a Zoom to get continuing ed credits or something like that, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is. But I think people have this notion that self-care is something extra, that you have to carve out some time to do it. It's an activity. I don't think of it that way. I think of it as a lifestyle, how I treat myself, how I manage my time, when to do what. I know my capacity, my energy level, my needs. I'm aware of them and I honor them. when possible. That's what self-care is for me. Saying no when I want to say no, instead of wasting my time with the people and the things that I don't want to do. Self-care is managing my feelings so that I am regulated. And when I'm sad, I want to retrieve into my room, I go and I cry and listen to sad music. I know it's going to pass. It's temporary. That's self-care, tending to my feelings, to my body, to my mind. Know how much I can handle per day. That is self-care for me. Also, eating healthy, right? Drinking enough water, walking, getting sunlight, exercise, yoga. Those are things that I also incorporate in my day-to-day life. But I think it begins for me from a mindset that I am worthy of treating myself with kindness and care, and I do need care. It's not like I have to go get my pedicure done to call it a self-care.
Right. I love that, honoring your own needs and really paying attention to them. And your needs change as we change. What you needed 5 years ago, when you have little kids, just getting out of the house for an hour and having a pedicure might feel like you're on a vacation. Right. But, you were always changing. So that's another thing. We have to stay on top of our own needs and honor them and take time to even figure out what they were. I loved the word. I also wrote down your word mandatory. It's mandatory to take care of. Otherwise, we just get worn out and we can't be good to anybody, to our clients, to our patients, to our children, to our spouses. We're just like a blob at the end of the day. You just want us to do nothing.
Yeah, but we learn a lot from our parents. And when you ask that question, I'm like, wow, what did I learn from my mom? What was her self-care? What did it look like? And I have some interesting observations and insights, but I want to hear yours because, first of all, you're a lot older and wiser than me, and your mom lived in a completely different era.
Well, that's true. She lived in a different era. And my mom, this is what I was thinking. I'm not happy to say this, but I think her idea of self-care was a day with one of the girls. That's going out for lunch and shopping. And to me, I love going out for lunch with somebody, and I can't imagine going shopping with anybody because I don't care where you buy your stuff, and I don't want to be with you while you try on 6 dresses or sweaters. And if you were a very good friend of mine and you were getting married and you wanted an opinion, I would be honored to go, but that's it. Right?
Yeah, we're similar in that. I'm so with you. I hate shopping. I never go shopping, and I don't want to accompany you, whoever you are. No, that is not my thing.
My favorite way to spend time with a friend is to walk.
Yeah, me too.
I'm also very social, like you,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm very exercise conscious and know that there's nothing like moving to keep you healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And that exercise releases endorphins, and endorphins make us feel good. And our body's just a bunch of chemicals. And the more good chemicals you can have, the better off you are. So to release good chemicals is a plus. And that's another kind of self-care.
Yeah, I do walk. I walk alone and I walk with friends. I walk with my husband and I walk with friends.
What we learned from our moms, that's a very important point. They grew up in a different era.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, exercise was not on everybody's radar the way it is now.
Yeah, so true. I was thinking that too. Like, I never saw my mom exercise. Yeah, she walked with friends. She spent time outside, but I don't know. She never exercised or went to the gym. Men did that. Women didn't do that.
Women didn't do that. Exactly. I don't know what women did.
I remember my mom would entertain people. She was very social. She would spend time with friends. Friends would visit. They would make tea, coffee, food, eat, talk. She would go to people's homes. I would go along. So my mom was very social. She also had a job and a career. She was a teacher. So I saw her working and having a career. I saw her socialize and have social relationships. She also had a hobby. She was a good baker and she was a singer. So she nurtured her hobbies. I saw that. And upon reflection, I'm like, wow, I'm kind of like my mom. Everything she did, I do now. But there's one distinction. My mom put not other people's needs ahead of hers, but men's needs. The philosophy was different, this patriarchal. As long as she can feed my dad, clean for him, take care of my dad, that this idea, I saw that and it's so alive in me, how caring for men was imperative.
Oh my goodness, you're making me remember that my mom, so you were a young kid. How old were you?
13.
So my mom died only 11 years ago and she was 93. So I've gone through I have many stages of memories. But one thing I remember when I had little kids, my mom would always tell me two things. Clean up the house before your husband comes home and put on your lipstick. We were not only supposed to take care of them, but we were kind of supposed to be like, make the world perfect for them. And I remember at that time, playpens were popular. I mean, playpens are completely out of vogue now. Nobody has a playpen. But the playpen was never for the children. The playpen was for the toys. I would take all the toys from all over the house and throw them in the playpen because the house was always a mess. And so it did serve a function, the playpen. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
Then another thing my mother would always tell me, like my father always had a drink of scotch or something when he came home from work. Get out the ice. And I remember after I went back to school saying to my mom, why am I getting out the ice? I mean, can he get out the ice? No, because that was what your value was, that you waited on your man.
I saw that growing up a lot by my mom, by my grandma, by other women. That was a cultural norm.
It was the cultural norm. It's still the cultural norm in patriarchal cultures, and we're still living in a patriarchal culture. Women take care of men.
Well, my own friend says to me when we are together, she's like, oh my gosh, it's time for dinner. You got to go, right? Your husband is going to come home. I'm like, it's okay. Like he can eat. He won't die without me. I don't have to go feed him.
Maybe you can call him up and tell him, turn on the oven and organize this and put this in. Right.
Yeah. That's what I saw. A self-care in terms of self-care. That's what I saw.
My mother enjoyed her friends. My mother played cards. Did your mother play cards?
No, she didn't play cards, but you know what they used to do? They used to do fortune-telling things.
Oh, wow.
You know how you drink in the Eastern cultures, they drink a different kind of coffee, like Turkish people, or I'm sure you had. And then you turn your coffee cup. This is hilarious. And then images show up. And so women would gather together and look at the coffee residue in the cup and see pictures and lies and say, oh, I see you're going to go on a road trip. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing a letter M. You know, someone is sick with the name. Stuff like this.
Right. Oh my goodness. But
it was hysterical. I loved it and fun. So they had fun. It was playful. It was fun, I guess, de-stressing. Obviously, it's not a serious thing, but they had their own thing.
Well, that's another important word, fun, that, we've kind of lost, like adults. Many people don't have a lot of fun.
Yes, I agree.
And I learned to play pickleball during the pandemic, and I just adore it. And I always loved playing sports. I loved tennis. But as I got older, tennis really hurt my back because it's a very strenuous game. Pickleball is strenuous in its own way, but it's very important to build in fun. And fun can be going out for dinner with another couple and just chatting, or seeing an old friend.
Yeah, I just recently organized. Well, I'm an organizer. Like if you let other people, no one is going to organize, but I organize things. So that's one thing I'm very eager and capable, and feel like the Soviet education taught me that. Organize things, right? Plays and shows and book clubs. Like I'm always organizing things. So what I organized recently, I said, hey, women, let's get together with a few families and just have some fun. They didn't know what was at stake. So I brought a game. I have this food trivia. They're just fun questions about food and travel and cuisines and things like that. And you get into two teams. I brought that game. People were socializing, eating. We had a good time. And at the end, I said, people, we're going to play a game. Everybody's like, no, Anna, we're having a good time. I said, believe me, you're going to have even better time. I divided the group into two parts and we played this game. And guess what? Everybody's like, this was amazing. Let's do it again. So we're going to do it tomorrow again. We're going to do a game night.
Well, that's totally self-care, right? Building things into your life that give you pleasure. And some self-care really isn't so pleasurable. Like I went to physical therapy today because I pulled a muscle, and it's not that pleasurable doing all these exercises. Like playing pickleball and tennis is pleasurable, but doing PT exercises is not pleasurable, but it's very important.
Yeah, you're raising an interesting point. I always think about this. Self-care, solitary activities or solitary things versus social or group things. It seems like most of the time, obviously, when it's self-care, the things we do is solitary, right? You are on your own. But I view being with a friend, playing, socializing, doing those things. I went to the theater with my book club friends. I have a book club. These are self-care things for me.
Right, exactly. Reading. Now, that's another thing. Reading is so wonderful. I need to do more reading.
Yeah, I agree. Reading is on my list too.
I mean, we read all day, on the internet, but that's not that kind of reading. I'm talking about kind of reading that's like self-care.
Yeah. I agree. I organized something also with my book club members. Instead of reading a regular book, we're doing a holiday party. And I said, let's read poetry that day. Everybody bring your favorite poem or poetry book. And we're going to just have an evening of sharing poetry. Well, that's self-care.
That's very much self-care. And, I really liked it when you stopped me when I said it would be great if you could get all these women together who love the topic of mothers and daughters. And then I realized, I was creating like a whole lot of work. I was creating work. It's like all of a sudden it's easy to transition from play and self-care to work. And I have a tendency to do that. I have to really watch it.
Yeah, interesting.
And you were right to sort of like back off and not get too carried away with that.
No, I get carried away with things. What is your horoscope sign?
I'm a Libra. What about you?
I'm a Gemini. I think Libra and Gemini are very good companions. It's a match.
Well, Libra is supposed to be balanced, and I work at being balanced. I think I have a great life, so maybe that's good enough, like to be able to say that. But I do work a lot. Sometimes I can't tell, like when I tell you I get up in the morning and I can start writing. Is it work? Is it play? Is it self-care? What is it exactly? And you're lucky when you have a big overlap, that the things you really like to do. Like I love that you're saying, I love organizing. I love getting people together and spurring them on to try new things. When you do what you really like, it doesn't feel like work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. That's how I feel about the things that I engage in my life, activities, be that the podcast or my work. I don't view it as work. It's pleasurable and rewarding.
I would think the podcast is a combination of play and work.
It is. It's creativity. It nurtures my creativity need. I think about it all the time. I read because of it. I have amazing conversations because of it. Tedious part, the work part, is recording that 3-minute intro and telling who I spoke with, what the topic was. That is the most tedious job for me. And I hate doing it. I hate writing show notes for it. Like, I like the creative part, but the tedious work part of it, I can't stand.
Well, I know it's hard to write 3 minutes. To write 3 minutes of dialogue could easily take you an hour or two, honestly, to like pull everything together, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes maybe it's quick, but sometimes you probably really struggle over it.
I do. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it's a struggle. Yes, definitely. And it's something I don't do with pleasure, for sure. Did we cover the mother's topic? Is there anything else you want to add about your mom, what you learned from her? Did she talk about self-care, or was that the thing back then?
I don't think she talked about self-care, but she definitely would ask me things like, what are you doing this weekend? What's fun? And I saw her have fun. And she created another whole life of theater and opera. And she went back to school. My mother went back to school when she was 56 years old. And she got a degree when she was 63. And she made plenty of new friends because she had moved. And she'd meet people all over the place. And I saw her be very enthusiastic. She wasn't a stay-at-home person who felt dreary and depressed. And many people, when they get older, they like lose their vitality, right? Is your dad still alive?
No, my dad passed away 2 years ago.
Terrible.
It was hard, and I miss my dad every day. Like my dad's death affected me more. I'm missing his presence than my mom's. My mom's death was like I was young. It shaped me, it affected me. Of course, it shaped me, who I am, the person, the woman that I am. And I have that hole in my heart, don't get me wrong. But losing a parent when you're older, when you're more mature, you have so much history with them. There's so much to grieve. It's enormous.
Absolutely. And even, having a parent get sick with something, you have preparation. You had no preparation.
Yeah.
And at 12, you couldn't have even been thinking about this.
No, in some ways, when I see people struggle with their loved ones, with their parents who are ill, bedridden, I see their struggles. It's years of torture and struggle. I see that. And I feel like my parents gave me a gift. They spared me that pain.
Right.
I do recognize that. But in some days, I'm like, I wish I held my father's hand and sat by his bedside and said the last words and, witnessed that part. I feel corrupted from this human experience.
Well, it's true. And, well, first of all, the death of your mother when you were 12 it's not only a tragedy, it's a trauma.
Definitely, yes.
To lose your mother and to say it shaped you is like an understatement, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the death of your father when you were
47.
It's still pretty, it's not really old, but it's not 12.
No, it's not. And you already know, what death is, what losing a parent is, but it was still unexpected.
My father died when I was 30. I would say it was tragic to die so early. He was 54, but it wasn't a trauma. It was not a trauma because he developed cancer and we thought he was getting better. And then he was given a terminal diagnosis and we had several months to grieve him. And frankly, it wasn't like it was years, it was months. And that's good. That gives you time to think about, every time you make a decision, will I go see him or will I do something else? You're thinking about that person and the value they are to you, but you had no time.
Yeah, they took him to the hospital and didn't make it till the morning.
Oof.
Yeah. Self-care. Self-care is also honoring your grief and your pain when it hits you. Like I listen to a piece of song or music or somebody says something and I remember my dad. Out of a blue, there are moments when a memory pops up or something triggers a memory or somebody says something and it's like, wow, that was a person and that person is no longer there.
So you're right. Self-care means honoring yourself and your losses and your gains and your triumphs, right? And your triumphs.
Yeah, knowing like when the grief hits you in that moment, you can pause instead of trying to change the topic or do something to forget. I allow myself to remember, to be with that memory, to cry and to feel what comes. I think that's self-care.
I agree with you.
So what are 5 things that you do daily that you consider as self-care maintenance that are consistent every day that you do?
Okay, the one thing, I love to exercise. I love to eat well. And that means eat healthy, but also eat things I like. Like you can't just eat salad every day for lunch. That's boring and then you're hungry. So the idea that you can treat yourself and you can eat sandwiches that you like, and I try very hard not to eat at night after dinner and to eat what I need to eat during the day. And that makes a lot of sense to me. I love visiting with friends. That's self-care to me. I have to have something every day that's really all just like fun and light. And even sometimes with friends, it's not light, but that's okay. It's close. It's a connection. I'm very big on exercising. And the thing that I didn't tell you is, so almost 10 years ago, I had breast cancer and I had a mastectomy and I came home from the hospital and I wanted to get back to work. And the only way I could get back to work, like say a week or 10 days later. Now, of course, being a therapist, is pretty easy. I didn't have to go to an office that was very busy, was if I took a nap every day. And I started taking a nap every day. And I love napping. I feel like there's nothing as good as napping. And even if I don't sleep, I like to just zone out. Even if it's doing a puzzle on my phone, because I have a couple things I love doing. I love playing bridge. I like playing Wordle. I like playing words with friends. It's fun, So I need to take a break and get off the to-do list.
Same. Oh my gosh, we're so similar. I can't get over how you're saying the same thing that is on my list. Isn't that funny? Yeah, what else is on your list before I share with you mine?
Okay, the other thing on my list is it's restrict the media. Especially now with this war. Oh my gosh. My whole day is ruined when I get up and I see a picture of Gaza and the ruin and the hospitals. And I'm Jewish, so it's not that I'm for or against anybody. It's just that the trauma and the tragedy of this situation is so exhausting. And it feels like, what is the end? How is this going to start? And I don't want to hear conversation, just like I don't want to hear any conversation about Trump, because we don't know where I just don't want to hear it. It just pulls me down. So restricting the amount of media that I allow into my space is very important to me. And my husband loves news. And actually, he says, we have to know what's going on. And I say, I don't have to watch this, though. I can read the headlines on my phone. And that's knowing enough. And anyway, there's nothing to know. Every day, it's the same thing. We don't really know. We don't even know if what we're getting as news we don't know what part of the story that is. So it's really being careful. I don't like to watch horror movies. Well, the news is not the news. It's the bad news. It's like every day you're watching a bad news horror show.
I agree. I don't like horror movies either. I don't even have the news on my phone. Like how you said you read the headlines. I don't have that on my phone. My husband also watches the news. He watches the live streamings of the war. I'm like, oh my gosh, how can you even do that? But I am informed. I mean, what's there to know and what can I do to change, right?
Exactly.
As a sensitive person, you can get traumatized by exposing yourself to that constantly. And it does affect me too. Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel, you mentioned a lot of important things like boundaries.
Yeah.
Having good boundaries. Just stop, look, listen, and think when somebody asks you anything. Do you want to come to this party? Do you really want to go? Where is it? How long is it going to take you to get there? Do you really want to go? Before you quickly say yes, and now you've just given away 4 hours of your day or night, right? And so setting good boundaries, asking for what you need, asking people to help you.
I agree. That is a big self-care. And time management is self-care for me. It ties to boundaries, saying yes or no, right? Committing to something, being with someone. That's going from your own time. It's limited resource, right? Time. And so I view it as self-care. If I am managing my time better, I am doing good self-care. That's an important aspect for me. I learned that in the recent years only, but
yeah, it's very important to learn that time is our most precious asset. It's more precious than money. You can't get your time back. If you give away the day, it's gone. If you lose money one day, you can make it back the next day.
Yeah, I agree. On my 5 daily things I put down sleep because sleep is important, and I go to bed at a decent time in the evening and I wake up early. I don't watch social media or movies or anything before bed. So I protect my sleep. So I put sleep as one of the things that I do constantly. I walk daily. I walk a lot. I walk alone. I walk with my husband. I walk with a friend, but I walk a lot. That I do daily. Nature. I spend time in nature every day. Obviously, it's tied to walking, but I have to get nature every day. If I don't get it, I'm not the same person. I socialize every day, either in person, mostly in person. It's a coffee with a friend, a walk with a friend, a couple of friends together, like exercise. I exercised with my friend today. Then we went when we got coffee. I prioritize relationships big time in my life. So that's an important one. So sleep, nature, walk, socialize, and alone time. And I do different things during this alone time. It could be reading, meditating, just laying down, sitting, doing the Wordle, whatever that is, alone time. These are my 5 daily practices, as you can say, that I do always.
I like that a lot. So I would say, well, the first thing I told you was creativity, time for writing. Also, I have different kinds of writing. Like sometimes, like you're now writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm writing a play. But I also have a computer full of things that I'm also working on. Like last week was my anniversary with my husband, and I found something I wrote about when we met, and I worked on it. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Maybe it'll go in something someday and maybe it won't. And it's called Meeting Larry, and it's the cutest story. And I love it. And I like working on it. And I actually love that it's not a book. It's not for publication. It's nothing I have to give or show anyone. It's just mine. It's like painting a picture when you're an artist, but you don't feel like you have to show it to anybody. You don't have to enter it in anything.
Yeah, you're doing something for its inherent sake, that it gives you pleasure. It helps you express your creativity, yourself, you're connected to yourself. It serves a lot of purposes, you know?
And, another thing that we didn't name, but I know this is true for me and probably for you, you have to be choosy who you let into your space, because some friends are just too draining and others stimulate your creativity. And my husband, really, what he wanted to do in life was become a concert pianist. And he plays the piano all the time. And it's so inspiring just to hear him learn new music, play new music.
That's so nice.
Music is very inspiring and rewarding and feels like it's self-care. Just getting out of your head, frankly, getting out of your head.
Yeah, I agree. Music is big for me too. I listen to music every day and I play the piano too. And this year I had made a commitment to myself to play the piano more frequently. Not every day, it doesn't happen, but it's self-care. I view it as self-care. So there are things that I do regularly. I work out a few times a day. I do strength training. That's part of self-care. I do yoga with my daughter once a week or twice a week. I journal regularly, not every day, but regularly. That's part of self-care, processing my thoughts and feelings.
It's like having outlets.
Yes, it is. Well, number 5 on this list is mindful consumption of media and social media. We talked about this. And in fact, I deleted my Instagram since like summertime. A few things prompted it. And I'm like, I don't need social media. Do I need social media? No. And honestly, I'm having the best time of my life. I don't need social media. It's like people watch other people's perfect lives, their travels, their fashion, their food videos, their ASMR videos, their fitness videos. People who create those videos are escaping their real life. They're not living their life. They're creating content, right? And people who consume, they're not living their life. They're consuming those people's content. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is messed up. I want to live my life. I want to be in my life. And this was prompted by, I deleted it. I was contemplating deleting it for a long time, but it was summertime, pool time. Someone I know, a remote friend, an acquaintance, came to the pool. She didn't enjoy the pool. She took a few pictures of herself in a bikini. She's a divorced woman, a single woman. And in that very moment, posted on social media that I follow her. When I came home from the pool, she didn't enjoy any conversation, any activity. We were playing a game in the pool. She didn't participate. She just took the pictures and left, posted on social media. I was nauseated because I witnessed it. This is depressing. This is not normal.
Depressing.
So
I agree.
But what other people, when they see it, they probably imagine what an amazing life she's having, right? They interpret and they feel bad about themselves.
I know.
I said, oh my gosh, I can't be part of this. I was so disgusted that day. I said, I'm deleting this. Like, that's it.
I'm so impressed because almost everybody who has a podcast spends hours a week on social media.
They do. But you know what? I don't care. If you listen to my podcast, you listen. I have listeners. I don't need to promote heavily to gain listeners. And who's going to listen to social media? It's heavy work. It's like banging your head, creating content for what? So that they can listen to what I created? No, I don't want to do that.
I feel the same way as you.
I can't participate in that. I can't.
And the last book I wrote, I published it in 2021, and I learned everything I needed to know about social media. And I did it for like 6 months. And then you know what? I said, I had enough of this.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, I'm going to put this on social media. I don't know why. I think I should,
Right? Yes.
I'm going to. But anyway, all I have now is Facebook. That's the only thing.
I am on Facebook too, because I have a Facebook group where the podcast listeners, like the active members, are there. I enter into the group. I don't post on Facebook. I don't socialize. I don't like anything. I don't do any of that. I could delete Facebook too, but there is usefulness to Facebook. There are Facebook groups that you can go and ask a question and get an answer. So that I like that part of Facebook.
That's great. I think that's great too. But just scrolling through Facebook and seeing.
I know I don't do that. I haven't done that in years. No, mine was Instagram. I would post and I would look at things, even with limited exposure. I just deleted it. And I don't need to show you my Christmas tree. I don't need to show you what I'm eating, what I'm cooking, what I'm doing. I'm living my life, and I don't want to see yours. So
I know we're almost out of time. You made me think about what are my 5 regular practices of self-care. And I'm going to put creativity as number 1, connection as number 2, meaning I either talk to or have lunch or take a walk with a friend every day, or have lunch, dinner, talk on the phone, something. That's number 2. Number 3 is exercise, walk, exercise. Hopefully do something that I really like. Like I know physical therapy is self-care, but that's not something I like, but I do it anyway. Then I agree with you about sleep, protecting my sleep and lying down and tuning out, just unplugging. And by unplugging, I really mean unplugging from my life. And the last thing is limiting the bad news. Limiting bad news and social media. Those 5 things that are built into my life, and I just think of them as my life rather than anything I do every day.
Yeah,
they become automatic.
Yeah, I agree. They are sustaining things that you do to have a better life, right? To have a balanced life. Another thing that I do, I'm in agreement with all of it. It seems like we have similar lists. Another thing that I do, I also read, and I'm going to tell you how many books I read this year because it's in this notebook. But another thing that I do, I don't consume media, internet, phone, or anything upon waking up in the morning. I go outside. Today was a glorious sunrise. I don't know if you had the same sunrise in New York.
I don't know.
It was this gorgeous, it was like this burning sky. Usually it's a sunset, but it was the sunrise like that. So I spent time outside just observing the sunrise and having a cup of coffee. So that's what I do the first thing in the morning. And this year, I have read 40 books.
Oh, good for you. That's a lot.
It's not as much as previous years, I have to say. But I reread a bunch of books. Overall, I read 40 books this year. It's not bad. It's like almost one a week.
I buy a lot of books and I put them on my Kindle because I like reading on my Kindle, and I read Kindle on my phone. That feels just very relaxing to just lay down and read.
And you do the Wordle every day?
Not every day, but I do it a lot. Do you do it every day?
I do it every day, and I have a chain with friends and my daughter. We do it daily. We've been doing this for years now. Yeah, I do it.
I like it too.
It's fun. So to conclude the topic of self-care, it's the holiday season. Anything else you want to add?
Well, the holiday season, we have to be all careful not to eat or drink too much because it is the season of eating and drinking. And you could be overdoing it in both departments in ways that are not at all self-care. It's fun while you do it, but it's not fun after.
That sounds good. I think that's it for me. I feel that I'm in a better place in my life in terms of self-care. I feel very confident about myself. I don't like the word balance, but I do have that balance. I do have simplicity. I do have things. It's in my control, how I feel. I think this is what I always say. Well-being is a skill, and I feel like I've mastered that skill finally in my life.
You know what I was going to tell you also? This is the last thing. Novelty. I like doing new things. Novelty is I liked coming on this program today. I didn't know, and I was doing it until yesterday. I didn't know what we'd exactly talk about, but it was interesting and stimulating, and it made me think. And I like things that make me be reflective.
I agree. This is self-care. Yeah, for me too. We exchanged ideas, energy, creativity as part of self-care. And I'm thinking about the things that you said. And I'm very impressed that our lists are very similar. The things that you do at this stage of your life and I do are very similar.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Well, we're both like mental health professionals. And we both have a deep belief in the power of relationship and creativity. So there you go.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Mental health, relationship, and the power of growth. The belief in growth, that we want to grow and we want to do new things and keep ourselves healthy. All right, my dear, this was fun.
Yeah, I wish you good health. Be healthy. I'll have you back again on the podcast. I want to hear new things from you. Thank you so much. I think you are the only guest who's been on this podcast 5 times.
That's hysterical. Maybe I'll come back around Mother's Day, even if you have other people too.
No, don't worry. I always have space for you. Are you kidding me?
That's our favorite thing to talk about, mothering.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Judy.
Right. Thank you for what you told me about that woman who wrote that book. I'm going to look it up.
Yes. Take care.
Bye-bye. You too. Have a great holiday.
You too. Happy holidays.
Merry, happy, and stay safe.
You too.
Bye-bye, Anna.
Bye. That concludes today's conversation, my dear listener, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I want to know what you think about self-care. Did we change your idea about self-care? What are some practices that you do on a daily basis, on a regular basis? I can't wait to hear. Please get in touch. You can send me a note to the email info@authenticparenting.com. You can call the number 732-763-2576 and leave a voicemail. And yes, I do prefer audio. You can also share your takeaways in our private Facebook group, the Authentic Parenting Community. And for you, my international listener, there is a free tool on the contact page of my website called SpeakPipe. Go to authenticparenting.com/contact and leave me a message. Support the podcast. Show your love and care and say thank you by making a donation. Your contribution is valuable and it makes a big difference. To learn more and make a donation, go to authenticparenting.com/support. That's again, authenticparenting.com/support. And as always, connect to the present moment, to yourself and your children. Until next week, I am Anna Seewald. Thank you so much for listening.